Hello, this is Mrs. Burial, and I am going to do a screencast here for you to go over what the Google Slides presentation should entail for submitting your reflections. Each time you are going to be writing reflections, you'll be adding them to a slide on your slideshow, and you will be submitting the slideshow as a means of meeting the deadlines. So the first page of the slideshow should showcase who you are and then should have some design elements that align with your presentation. The next slide will be an introduction slide where you talk a little bit about yourself, what you've done in middle school, things that you're passionate about, maybe include an image of you doing something in middle school. Then you'll move on to the different categories. So this is ESSLER number 1, academic reasoning, problem solving. So this introduces to your panel members that you'll be talking about this area. Then you will have a slide for your first reflection under this category. If you'll see here, you will have the title of the evidence, you'll have the grade level of which the class and the class that you had for that reflection, and then you'll have visual evidence of your piece. So it might be that you insert a video, maybe you have an image that you need to put on, maybe it's a piece of artwork or an assignment that's like a worksheet or a handout, so you need to take either a scan or a photo of it, or linking in a presentation. You may also need to do a screenshot of something. That might be a way to get the visual evidence, but we should be able to see the evidence on the slide. Then you will make a link to your reflection so that your advisory teacher can click on the link and see your reflection there. In the future, in March, you will be adding bullet points of your reflections, and you'll also be adding style elements and visual aids to kind of jazz up your presentation. But for this deadline, we're only looking for these top 4 pieces of getting your information on there. Then you will have, at the very end, you'll have your second slide for this category. Then we move on to the next category, academic reasoning, real-world connections, and then we have our first reflection example, and then we will have our second reflection example. Then you'll go on to the next ESSLER, social emotional wellness, goal setting and growth, with a slide for the first reflection and the second reflection. Now remember, I'm setting this up for all 12 of the reflections. At this deadline, you only need to have 4, and they can be any category, any classes. Then we will go on to ESSLER number 2, social emotional wellness, self-care, with 1 reflection, 2 reflections. Going on to global understanding, appreciating cultural diversity, with our first reflection and our second reflection. Now remember, on these, you are only filling in for this deadline the title of the evidence, the grade level in class, the visual evidence, and the link to reflection. I don't want you to spend time right now looking at design or color or anything like that, because you're spending your time on your reflections and your signatures. You then move on to global understanding, community contributions with your first reflection, your second reflection. And then you will be adding a slide where you will put an image of your matrix signatures. So this is important so that your teacher can easily see, without you being right there, your matrix with your signatures. It's important that you have a nice clear picture. This picture on the right here is clear. You can see what is written, you can see the signatures, and then the one on the left is kind of hard to read, and there's a shadow on it, so you want to take a nice, clear, bright picture. Then you will add a slide in for your arts demonstration. You don't need to worry about your arts demonstration until March, but just put it in as a placeholder. And then you might have a slide with the follow-up questions so that you always have them accessible as you are working on this project. Here I'd like to show you some samples. This is from an 8th grader last year that had a nice setup here of the flowers. Their focus was on dance, and so they're connecting that to the whole theme. And so they have their goal setting slide. And then examples of what their final slides look like. They have the title, they have the title of the assignment, and then they have it linked to their reflection. They've got the grade level, they've got the bulleted list of things that they'll be talking about from their reflection, and then they have a nice image of their evidence. Here's another one where they have the link to the reflection. Here's a slideshow that they've inserted with their bullets and their grade level. So these are just some examples to get you starting to think about it, but eventually in March you guys will be getting creative and making these really your own. So to turn in your project for the 29th of October, you need to have your presentation made. You need to have 4 reflections with signatures, and you need to have a picture of your matrix, and then you will submit that on your Schoology advisory page. If you have any questions, please feel free to talk to your advisory teacher or come and see me, and I'd be happy to help you. Have a good day.